Ever notice how exhausted you feel trying to follow everyone else's creative rules? Like you're listening to all these podcasts, you're watching YouTube videos, you're even taking courses, trying to replicate your favorite artist's journey? Well, some of that could be really helpful. Your soul is screaming at you to create your own path. So let's listen to what it's trying to say. I get so attached to other artists' journeys that I try to replicate every single part of it. I remember listening to podcasts in college of here's how this person got their big break on Broadway, here's how this person got their first TV show, and it was like, let me replicate every single part of their life and try to make that my reality. It makes total sense that that is how we feel like we need to approach this. But what if this was a DIY journey, DIY journey, that we designed it ourselves, that instead of trying to follow someone else's path, it was one that we can forge ourselves. This was something that took me years to understand. I never saw people who were YouTubers then turn into people who were in movies and television shows, yet here I am kind of trying to do that. Like, I'm writing blog posts, I have a blog, I work as a professional SEO content writer and content strategist virtually, and 10 years ago when I was in theater school, was it 10? Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was. I was just trying to figure out what everyone else was doing, but I didn't realize what can I do not only with my unique skills, but what can I do to adapt to what's actually happening in the world right now. Your creative path doesn't have to look like anyone else's. As an artist, our journeys are all of ours to craft. Just like we craft whatever our artistry brings, even if we're performing artists, we're crafting the performance, you're crafting the physical art piece, whatever it may be. Designing our own journey is all about creating a practical strategy, pairing that with the magic of manifestation, and then creating something entirely our own. And that's honestly so fun. Like, isn't our actual job to create things? So why not create our journey too? Why not create and design our own journey without feeling this immense pressure of having to base it off of someone else's? Now, I'm not saying we can't get inspiration from other people. I'm just saying, how can we craft it to complement ourselves? What does this DIY journey really entail? Basically 3 things. The first thing is finding that perfect balance of the brand of you and monetizing your artistry, because those are 2 different things, but they also complement each other, and I'll explain what I mean. The second one is creating your own definition of a successful journey, and I say journey, I don't say a successful life, a successful goal, a successful, one big thing, because it's not just one thing. We're building a lifestyle. We're not building the steps to a dream and then we're done. Then it's also about finding and leaning in on a creative community, because we are community-based creatures. All of us are. I don't think any of us could do this without a supportive family, friends, whatever that means to us. So let's break this down a little bit. So this first step, finding the perfect balance of the brand of you and monetizing your artistry. So there's a value in knowing both. I'm going to start with the monetizing your artistry, because this is kind of like the bread and butter of how to get started. I don't know, the world is based around money. This is what we want to do full time, because we feel like we want to make money doing what we love. And making money is how the world goes round. It's how we can create a life that we love, have freedom. This is a big problem I think a lot of creatives have, is how do I not be a starving artist? How do I pursue my dreams but also pay the bills? So when it comes to monetizing your artistry, we're talking about tapping into collective common problems. When it was 2020, I was in acting school in New York City, and then I was also a substitute teacher in New Jersey where I lived. When 2020 happened, everyone was remote. I had a lot of time on the computer, as I'm sure a lot of us had, and I started to have to find what were collective common problems that people were having and how could I solve that. So I was starting to dig and say, I went to college, I have a BA, I'm really good at writing, I'm on social media a lot, and I can kind of start understanding what makes good social media posts, what content strategy is working, what isn't working. And so I started using that and working in digital marketing. I was working as a social media manager, a blog content writer. I was doing some random work here and there, and it was able to help me jump into this whole idea of how can I actually monetize what I'm good at? So when I say monetize your artistry, like digital marketing isn't my artistry technically, but the skills that we have as artists are what make us good at other things too. Because I am a creative and I'm good at kind of like seeing patterns and creating vision boards and saying, oh yeah, this is like the essence of this, I can start strategizing on content and saying, oh, this content is on brand, this content's not on brand, things like that. From there, I would start replicating systems that have worked for others. So I was on YouTube, I was figuring out, okay, how do I become a freelance content writer? Like, how do I use the systems that other people have used in order to make this a full-time thing for me? I do have a free 3-day mini course that I will link below that helps you do this. There's 3 modules in the courses that I'll email to you, and it basically breaks down like how you find what you're good at, your natural creative gifts, how you build a portfolio and a marketplace app, and how to systematize that so you can actually make that happen. And then this is also about doing market research on what your client and customer want. So that's a big part of it. Again, breaking down like what is a need that people have right now and how can I fill that need? That's really what it is. So you think about the last product that you bought and you had a need, whether it could just be food, you had a need, you gotta eat. How do you fill that need? Get food. That's probably not what you're gonna be doing. It's gonna be more like business owners who have a need. They really need to send emails to their email list, but they don't have the time. You can fill that need because you got time. They got money, you got time. Together, you're beautiful. So all of that is about using your art to like go externally to start supporting yourself. And then the other side of it is the brand of you. This is about, we're building our own unique journey. So we're using our unique skills to make money. We're looking outside of us to make money, but now doing some internal work and saying, okay, what are my perspectives, my values, my traits, my talents, my interests, the psychology of who I am? Because eventually that's gonna build up who your brand is as a creative and as an artist. And honestly, I'm going through this right now with my music. I've taken 2 months off just writing music, focusing on music, because I'm like, I need to step back and really understand what my brand is. And I know that word is cringy for a lot of people because it feels like we're trying to business something that's creative, if that makes sense. Maybe we can find another word for it, because branding is just the essence. Like, how do we extract the essence of who we are and display that to the world so that when they see a social media post, when they hear a song, they're like, I know what that is. That's specific. That's a very individualistic person or artist, and I'm very clear on who they are. The more clear you are, the more you'll actually be able to find engaged fans of an engaged community, things like that. If we're general, people are confused about who we are. I love talking about Sabrina Carpenter hair, cheeky little lines in her songs. Like, she's so specific. Her brand is so specific. You scroll on Instagram, you see bright hair with bangs, you're like, hey, Sabrina, like, what's up? Like, what position for Juno is she gonna do on tour? Like, that is her brand. As you're turning outwards and looking how to monetize your skills, you're also gonna be looking inwards, crafting this creative journey and saying, who am I for my art? Really pulling the elements that make you you to create an entirely new being. When I say new, I'm not saying you're not being yourself, but there always is kind of like an edge to who you are as an artist. There's kind of 2 people, especially when it comes to performers. Like, so the Sabrina Carpenter we see on stage might be a more pronounced version of her, but it's not her. We're serving a purpose to our audience and giving them what they've been expecting. They see all these things on Instagram, they see the funny cheeky lines, and we're just like revving that up a little bit. So how can we do that in our artistry too? And then we're doing the inner work to pull out the most unique parts of us to highlight. That includes going to therapy, my friend. That includes very deep inner work throughout this journey. What triggers us? What fears are we having? What is making us have more creative blocks than we want? Things like that. So we got the perfect balance of the brand of you and monetizing our artistry. Next, we're going to talk about creating our own definition of a successful journey. Again, notice how I'm saying journey and not a successful goal. It's a goal and we're done, because it's a journey. It's a lifestyle. We know that being an artist isn't like we wake up, we do something, and we go back to sleep and I'll go get a full-time job now. No, we don't live traditionally. We don't want to have an office job. We want to have our own life. We want to be creative as much as possible. We want our lives to look magical and feel like they are like in the Emerald City. We're shaping our journey to our goals to be really romanticized, but then our journey also being our life. Throughout the journey, there's going to be several stops. Woohoo! Yay! Woohoo! Yay! But it's also our life. The first thing I'd say is discover wellness rituals for yourself to honor your temple. Your body's your temple. I know you've heard this a lot, but I just fully believe in this. I've always been a relatively healthy health-ish eating person, but I've definitely learned more and more. And it's really not just about eating. I'm just telling you what I do. You don't have to do it, but I am very much an advocate for holistic ways of maintaining our bodies before it gets sick. If I do get sick, I want to figure out why I'm getting sick. I don't want to cover it up with a bunch of pills personally. What was different? What did I eat different? How did I act differently? Everything is connecting, you know? The mindset, it could make us sick. That's how I feel. You can feel differently. It's totally fine. For me, I have a lot of wellness rituals that I do throughout the day, week, month. I take out theanine. I go under the red light a lot. We have acupressure mats. We do acupuncture. I go to the gym and then I'll sit in the sauna because sweating is really good for you. Going to work out, things like this. What are ways that we can nurture the temple that we have to create art? On top of that, then, now that we have a body and a mind that feels sustained, whatever that means to you, it could be a certain diet. I don't eat meat or dairy, and for the most part, I don't really eat gluten unless I'm out to a restaurant and I want to make it a gluten party. What makes you feel good? What would make your body feel nurtured? What would make you feel like your body is doing the absolute best it can do to support yourself? On top of that, how can we romanticize our everyday? And I think this is a lot of the mind element. Specifically, I said including your cozy girl job. The reason why we want to get out of maybe an in-person or a full-time job or a minimum wage job is because we are not able to romanticize the days because we're working in a hectic environment. The beauty of working a remote job is that we can have a little bit more control over our environments. Like for me, I paint the walls purple because I want to feel like I'm working in a magical fairy forest. Is a forest purple? I don't know. Magical fairy cove. What are ways that we can romanticize even the boring days? Because if we know how to romanticize the boring days, we'll know how to lean more into the romantic elements when we have those big wins. So I think about, okay, this is a boring day. I'm filming YouTube content, even though I love filming this. I'm cooking dinner at home. I didn't really, I went to the gym today. It was very average, but I was still able to find things throughout the day that made me happy. I had a yummy meal. I have my cute water bottle by me. I have a candle right here, and I'm in my purple room, and I'm very happy about that. And I'm talking to you about creativity, and that's filling me up. And after this, I'm going to find a dessert to eat, and I'm gonna probably go to sleep early. Maybe I'll watch a movie. I'm just thinking of things that can make my day better because literally, why not? There's this thought that we need to struggle in order to succeed. We need to make our lives really hard, but like, why? If you can make your life easier, make it easier. And the great part is then now I know that when I have these big wins, like when I get cast in a TV show or when I go on tour, I'm saying when because it's gonna happen, and that's how I want you to talk about your goals. I'm already in the mindset of doing that. And then book all the fun things. I used to be really stingy about, I don't wanna go out tonight and blah, 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 blah. And now I just go to fun things. I have appointment on my calendar to go thrifting with a friend, game nights. I'll find random flyers at the gym and I'm like, yeah, I'll go to this thing. Book the things that make you excited. Like, go to the events. Why not? Literally, why not? Go to the events, invite someone else. Go by yourself, go with a partner. If we're working and spending all this time just focusing on, I don't want to do it, and we're then not used to taking opportunities in the future that might lead to something else. And speaking of going out with people, I want you to find and lean in on your creative community. And your community has unique leverage points even if you don't know it yet. I mention a Nepo baby not because I have anything wrong with that. If your parents were in the industry you want to be in, then that's amazing. And you have a lot more opportunities than a lot of other people. But maybe, just maybe, yours is actually perfect for what you need. So think about the people in your life who are business people, because creativity is business. What could you learn from them in order to treat yourself more like a business? I have learned so much from working in SEO and content strategy about being a creative than I ever thought I ever would. And that's because I see things from the mindset of a business and I'm like, oh, okay, that's how I can translate that. I would never have known that without the experience in business and knowing business people. Also, just people just slightly ahead of you. Like, I'm not saying we don't need to be friends with celebrities in order to understand how to get to that next level, but just people slightly ahead of you. In this phase of my life, people who have agents or people who have been going on a bunch of auditions, like a bunch of people in my acting class are doing that. I'm like, I want to surround myself more with you. Like, I want to know how you're auditioning and what that experience is like and la 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 la. People who have been on a film set as a character with lines, because I haven't done that yet. I've been an extra, but I'm like, If I have lines, yes, I wanna learn that. Other creatives who have a different perspective, other creatives outside of what you do. So if you're an actor, artists, or if you're a dancer, musicians, we're all in this together. We're all collectively going towards the same goals, but sometimes when you look at things in different perspective, you see what people have been doing in your field. You probably know how a lot of people in your field have gotten to where they are, but what about people who aren't in your field? What can you learn from that no one else in your field is looking at? And then non-creatives to help keep you in check and staying humble. There's sometimes people in your life who giving you pressure to maybe be in a certain spot, or even I have family members who are still tied to this idea of you gave up your dreams of being on Broadway and you like moved to the South. And for me, I need that to keep me humble. I need that so I then learn how to define my goals. I felt like I had to explain to her. I didn't give up on myself. My dreams had shifted. I wanted to live somewhere else. It gave me a sense of, okay, yeah, wait, how do I really define what I want? And so I had to start explaining to them, I really want to work on very intentional work. It's not about being on Broadway, but it's about working on pieces that really have depth, that talk about deep things like interpersonal relationships and friendships. Like helps me write my story and have a good elevator pitch for myself, because I do find myself short circuit because I'm like, I do SEO, but I really want to be a creative, but I don't really do that, but that doesn't make me money, but I want to be abundant and I don't want to manifest not making money. And it's just like this whole thing. So use those people to your advantage. Sometimes it could be very difficult talking to them. I get that. But just take it as a lesson on how to tweak your elevator pitch on yourself a little bit. And as you probably have noticed, the DYO journey does not always come easy. So what are some of the things that could be holding us back from this? You could be looking outside of yourself for permission. You still might have hustle culture a little bit in your bones, and honestly, it's okay to have that. It's okay to have, that's amazing, we need hustle. I mean, you're still in the someday mode because they just don't have the systems. We have ideas, but then we just look back and we're like, I've had the same idea and I haven't executed on it. So let's talk about that. So we're looking outside of ourselves for permission. If you feel like your creative decisions feel paralyzed until you get feedback from other people, almost as if their opinions make your art more real, there's a lot of people like this. Some of them kind of intend for that to happen because they might not be happy with their careers. Other people, they don't. That's something that we can maybe just be more aware of. That perfectionism that tells you that it's better to not start than to start and be imperfect. I have had so many moments like that on just YouTube. My audio is imperfect in my video. I don't have a light in front of me. It's so dim here and I'm looking at myself. There are so many YouTubers out there who have all this professional lighting and I just want it to be moody and maybe people won't like that and blah, blah, blah. It's good enough. There has to be a sense of that good enough. I gave myself, if it's a C+ or better, I'm posting it. Because my C+ is usually other people's B+ or A-. There's also this element of holding on to this idea that someone will magically discover you, and listen, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. But I think that can sometimes hold people back. If that happens, it's gonna take forever, maybe not even a lifetime. And then you find yourself saying, I'll do this when, I'll do this when, I'll do this once. I understand having a plan is good, but do you find yourself doing that to a point where you're like, wait, there's actually no reason why I shouldn't go? If there's a reason, if there's a tangible, understandable reason, I get that. But if it's, I am scared, then think about it. Our art does not become more valid when others approve of it. It's already valid because it's your art. It's you. We are all here to put our mark in this world. I believe that the purpose of every person on this world is to just expand. And the fact that you're creating art means that you are physically creating something to expand more. So the fact that you're doing that already is valid enough. Another thing that we can be doing is kind of have hustle culture a little bit hanging out there to the point where it's stopping us from being present. I went to school with, and I did this too, like I went to college with a lot of people who would take like a bajillion credits a semester, and every time I saw them, they'd be like, oh my god, I'm so busy, I'm doing this, and oh my gosh, I'm doing this, and I'm getting 4 hours of sleep, and blah, 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 blah. I had that too. I felt so cool because I was so busy. I don't have time for Netflix. I don't have time I'm so busy. I'm taking 20 credits and I'm in this show. That's cool sometimes, but also, why is that really helping you? If it is, that's great. Is that something that's going to help you all day, every day? I don't know. There's also this feeling of we have to earn relaxation. I can't create until I do this. And again, it's something that's not practical. If it's, oh, I can't rest because other people are working right now. No, just rest. I've had the moment where rest feels like laziness unless I'm literally sick. And sometimes I feel grateful that I'm sick because I have an excuse to rest. And then I look back and I say, I should probably not wait until I'm actually sick. Sometimes the idea of doing nothing can make me anxious. Meditating, exercising, watching Netflix, all this stuff feels more like pressure than something to look forward to. It's just something for you to think about. If you feel like relaxation is a sense of pressure, then maybe it's hustle culture is a little bit too much right now for me. And then money feels complicated. I think a lot of people have this feeling that rich people are bad. And listen, there's good and bad people on all sides of it. But if we're trying to manifest more money, and if we're trying to manifest more abundance into our lives, then having a bad opinion about what you want is kind of probably not going to help us get it. Maybe just explore that. Why do I feel like all rich people are bad? Why do I feel like money is bad? We read books and a lot of it is about what happens when you use money the wrong way, when you're greedy. So I think that that's kind of ingrained in us for a good reason. But maybe we can zone out of that a little bit and stop thinking that abundance feels selfish, because we weren't taught manifesting in schools. We were taught about the hypotenuse of a triangle and not about manifestation. Naturally, we're not going to be adults and be like, yeah, this is easy. You've been taught that suffering means success. I had a roommate in college. He was putting himself through college, and I thought that was so iconic. Like, he was working so much. He was such a hard worker. And I was so grateful that my dad had saved up money for me for college, but I felt the sense of guilt. I should be struggling as much as him, or else I haven't earned this as much as he did. That doesn't take away any of what he's doing. For me, making myself struggle, I promise you, girl, you're gonna have struggles in your life. You are gonna have struggles. We don't need to make any more. We don't. We're gonna have them. The universe will drop them in our laps, I promise. We don't need to make any more for ourselves just for the sake of making life hard. And again, putting on this picture that, oh my gosh, we're struggling. Life is so hard. I'm so busy. I'm so productive. Look how productive I am. Why? Why make your life harder? It's fun to be healthy. It's fun to have a balanced life. That's cute. That's very cute of you to have a balanced life, my friend. By the way, if you're liking this, you can hit subscribe. Would love to see you around and have cozy chats like this in the future. And then you might still be in Sunday mode because you don't have systems. We think there's this perfect place to start. And this is what happens when we try to duplicate someone else's recipe. We're like, wait, I can't do this until I do that because that's what they did. But no, no, this is your journey. This is your experience. There is not a perfect place to start, my friend. There's also the when-then statements. You're placing pressure on something you can't control. I will do this when that happens, or when I get this job, or when. Usually the then is things that you can't control. You can't control when you get a job. No, even tomorrow, you're like, I'll do this tomorrow. You can't control what's gonna happen tomorrow. You don't know what's gonna come up tomorrow. You don't know if your day's gonna suddenly get so crazy busy, some emergency's gonna come up. You can't control that. Why are we putting all of our eggs in the basket of something we can't control? And then we're trying to manifest without taking inspired action. I think that's a common thing with manifestation. We have the vision boards, and that's a very powerful facet. I think hustle culture is the opposite. I think hustle culture is we have the systems, but we don't manifest. And I think the manifest culture is like we manifest, but we don't have the systems. So let's blend that all now. First of all, let me define what systems are. So systems are a framework of intentionally designed habits, routines, and workflows that support your creative spirits. And I'm saying, unlike productivity hacks, they're more like containers that give your humanity room to breathe via romanticizing the process. You can call them productivity hacks if you want. I'm just saying it's different language that I use because I'm a creative and I'm a snob about language. It's more intentional, it's more creative, it's more, we can have fun with it. We can romanticize it. So some examples of systems: following the energy, content batching when you're filming 4 YouTube videos on Monday when your energy is the highest, creating certain systems based around your cycle. I've also implemented something where all the cozy girl work I do, it's either in this room or at a coffee shop outside my house. Everywhere else in my house is for my own work, violet gaze, and whatever else I want to do. But my cozy girl work, only in this office and elsewhere. That's like an overall concept of systems. Systems are also project management tools, checklists, but I want to have an overarching view on it so you can see how you might be able to shape that into your life. And then inspired action. This is when you're taking meaningful steps towards your creative dreams rather than forcing a hustle, half-worked approach. Inspired action happens when you trust both in the universe's guidance and you see your goals as simple and practical steps. And where the heck are the examples? There we go. Setting up your home studio one piece at a time as your budget allows, rather than going into depth and have it all done at once. We can see a YouTube transformation of interior design influencers. Oh my gosh, I can't afford that, so my studio is always going to be really ugly. But no, why can't we take intentional, meaningful steps towards our goals, small actions that make sense? Maybe I'll spend a weekend thrifting a bunch of pictures and I'll do that. And then I'll do this. And we're really intentional, thoughtful, work within what we can do with it. Maybe instead of forcing yourself to network, the hustle culture can be like, you need to network and you need to do this and go to networking events, blah, blah, blah. Maybe it's about having a softer approach. Maybe you've been wanting to join a theater group and that's your networking. That's bringing you closer towards your goals. That's finding your community. Maybe that's where you meet halfway in between, if you're terrified of networking, but you kind of want to get your heart back into it. And then very simple, using the 5 things a day rule. Do 5 things a day that help you get closer to your goals. That could be a system as well. Inspired action and systems are very hand in hand. So if you're looking for a very simple way of manifesting something through inspired action, do 5 things a day that'll bring you closer to your goal. If you want to start getting back into acting, get your Actors Access account, find some headshots, update your resume, text a friend who you can ask some questions to, and look for some local acting classes. Imagine how close you will get if you do that every day for literally a month. By the way, a great way to start getting inspired action is to take my free 3-day mini course on finding your cozy girl job, like I mentioned. So if you want to do that, go ahead and sign up in the bio. I think all of our lives and backgrounds are so unique that our journeys are going to look so beautifully different. And if you can just find ways to romanticize the journey that you're in, we're going to feel the wins so much more. It's like when we take the time to really bite into that cookie, it's gonna taste so much better. I'm so honored to be your artist bestie on this journey. Stay inspired, stay creative, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.